Hi students, welcome to the chemistry sessions. So what I have brought for you today is a set of 10 questions CBSE pattern exercise for the structure of the atom. Okay, so you need to revise all the concepts, which all discoveries were made and at what time they were made. So basically you have to go on with a proper sequence and then the discovery of an atom and finally its structure and finally all the findings related to the atom. So that is how we have to proceed in this particular chapter. And I am assuming that each one of you have revised all the concepts. So let us try the question number 1. Now as the instruction says, question number 1 to 2 will be 1 mark question, fine? Okay, so which subatomic particle is not present in an ordinary hydrogen atom? You have to find it out. Okay, so basically what a subatomic particle is not present in the hydrogen atom? Let us take up the hydrogen atom only. How many electrons are there in hydrogen atom? It's 1. So that means 1 is electron, so the proton will be equal. And that is what the hydrogen atom is basically. Okay. And this lacks one thing in the nucleus, which is neutron. So basically the subatomic particle, that is a particle which is present in the atom, is neutron, which is missing here. No neutrons are there in the hydrogen atom. Okay, if I talk about the protium isotope of it, fine. Okay, so since this is 1 mark question, you have to just represent the answer in one line and that will be sufficient. Now, the next question. Which subatomic particle was discovered by? Now these discoveries are really very important along with the name of the scientist. So first one, tell me, Chadwick, James Chadwick, neutron has been discovered by him. Thomson, J.J. Thomson, and he discovered electron. Goldstein, E. Goldstein, what did he do? Now only one subatomic particle is left, that is the proton. Cool? Okay. And can you tell me the symbols of each one of them? Neutrons for N, electrons for E, proton for P. So you must know that what all are the symbols for each one of them. Fine? Okay. So this was again a very easy question based on knowledge. No logic is applied over here. Now, question number 3, name the radioactive isotope which is used in the treatment of the cancer. Okay. So, again what are radioactive isotopes? Which actually emit some rays, gamma, beta, right, alpha, beta, gamma. Now that specific isotope which is used in the treatment of cancer is cobalt-60. I had told you about this as well. So cobalt-60 is a radioactive isotope which emits gamma rays and is treatable for the cancer. Okay. Now, so that was pretty easy question. We have already done this. Now question number 4. Okay. So now comes up the 2 mark question. What important information you have to just correct it over here. So question number 4 and let me just check up. Question number 5, right. Okay. So these will be 2 mark question number 4 and 5. Okay. So just make a correction over here, 4 and 5. Now, what important information is furnished about the nucleus of an atom by alpha particle scattering experiment of the Rutherford? So it's a gold foil experiment. Alpha particles were actually bombarded onto the gold foil, and due to that bombardment, what he actually inferred, what he observed. So basically what he did was, let us just try to observe once again. So can you just shift the camera over here slightly here, because I need to show some experiment, the gold foil experiment. So what he did was something very interesting. See here, can you just see how the chalks are getting deflected right here? Something like this. So this deflection he actually observed via the alpha particles. Got it? Okay. Now the deflection was very interesting. The gold foil experiment was very interesting. He actually observed deflections which was complete 180 degree. That means I deflected it and it straight away come back to me. Fine, first was this. Second was side deflections. And the third observation was quite interesting. That means some passed through, okay? Now, from all these three, he got to know something about the atom, which is very interesting. Complete 180 degree deflection, that means it must be some hard substance in that atom of gold, which is actually deflecting the entire alpha particle back, okay? So here he observed a nucleus which is of very hard mass. Also, these 180 degree complete deflections were very less. So from very less he observed that nucleus is occupying little space as compared to the entire atom. Fine. Side deflections. Side deflection, it again gave an idea that there is some hard substance, and also since the alpha particles are positively charged as well as the nucleus is also positively charged. So he inferred that the nucleus must have been having some particles which are actually positively charged, which are repelling the alpha particles back. Okay. So from here he got positive nucleus. Some passed through the foil. That means he just got to know that, and what is this sum? This value, it is very large. So as compared to the 180 degree deflections, the very large ones were passing through. That means the rest of the space, maximum space is empty. Maximum space in atom is empty, right? So that is all the observations are. You need to form an entire answer of it, because since it holds 2 marks, so you just have to write 2 to 3 lines for each and every observation, and that will do. Fine? Okay. So that was question number 4. Now let's come up to question number 5. Fine. Okay, let me just rub this. Yeah. Fill in the following blanks in respect of an atom of an element. So this is going to be interesting. An atom, let's say X, having protons. How many protons? 11. How many number of neutrons? 12. So this is the mass number we have, and here we represent the atomic number. Okay, you should know this. Positive charge should be equal to the negative charge in an atom. That means the number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons, which are also 11. So the mass number will be how much? 11 plus 11. It's okay, 11 plus 12 it is there, so it is going to be 23. Now atomic number, this is atomic number, it is going to be 11. Number of electrons, again 11, and valency. So can you count the valency of over here? For that I need the electronic configuration. That is, I need to arrange these electrons in the k element shell. 2, 8, that means total of 10 plus 1, 281. Can you guess what will be actually this element is? 281. What is the electronic configuration? Which element has this? It's the sodium, yes. Sodium it is. And the valency will be 1. Okay? Now, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Now, again you need to make a correction here. Question number 6, and let me just check out what all questions have 3 mark. Okay, question number 6 to 8. Fine. So 6 to 8 will be of 3 marks. Okay, A. What are isotopes? Explain by giving an example. Okay, let's take up the example here. Protium, deuterium, and tritium. So the isotopes are those things which have got same atomic number but different atomic masses. And why these atomic masses are different? Basically due to the difference in the number of neutrons. Okay, and that is what completes my part number 1. Give one similarity and one difference between the pair of isotopes. This is important. Mark this as important. Similarity is the chemical properties are same. Chemical properties are same, whereas physical properties are different. How and why? Chemical properties, whenever a chemical reaction is happening, only and only the electrons are involved. Making and breaking of bonds is associated with the electrons. That means since the electrons are same over here, so the chemical properties are also same. Fine? Electrons same. But the physical properties are different. Now physical property, just like melting point, boiling point, whichever substance. See here, I have got one element which is of lighter weight, and I have got one element which is of heavier weight. So this is heavy, okay. Let's say this is heavy quite and this is light. So which will be having more boiling point? The heavier one. I will have to need a lot of energy over here to boil the substance off as compared to the lighter one. That means physical properties will be different because here the masses are entirely different, because masses are different. Got it? So this was an important part which you need to remember. Done. C part, an element. So over here I will not be performing any kind of calculation, but just giving you an idea and hint. An element Z contains two naturally occurring isotopes, this and this. If the average atomic mass of this element be 35.5 units, calculate the percentage of the two isotopes. Okay. So what they are actually trying to say over here is, these are the isotopes given, and you know why the average atomic mass occurs? The average atomic mass occurs because of the different masses of the different isotopes present, and the different isotopes are present in different abundances, that means different percentages. Fine. So the different percentage, I need to actually calculate the percentage of the two isotopes in my sample. So I let one percentage be X%, another be 100 minus X. Okay. Now what do you need to do? Just put in the values. So 35% one will be having mass. So the abundance is, that means this much percent of this isotope is present. So I can calculate the total mass which will be present in that sample. So 35 into X% plus 37 into 100 minus X by 100 will be equal to the average mass. So this is going to be 35.5 units. Fine. So you need to solve this, and the value of X, I am just giving you an answer over here. The value of X will come out to be 75%, and here it will be now 25%. Got it? So that is how you need to find out this particular question, an important one and an interesting one. Okay. So now let's move on to the next question we have. Although this question was pretty long, it must have been included in the 5-mark category as well, but you never know, it can come up in your 3-mark as well. Sometimes the teacher also give in 3-mark, just in order to waste a lot of time of yours. Okay, so you need to be very quick with the calculations. Next, define valency of an element. What valency will be shown by this element and so and so. Okay, so first of all, what is the valency of any particular element? So valency is the combining capacity, how it is actually making the bonds. Fine, and that combining capacity is decided because of the valence electrons which are present. Okay, so what valency will be shown by an element having atomic number 14. So atomic number means number of electrons is going to be 14 Can I write the electronic configuration to find out the valency? Yes, 284. So what is going to be the valency? You know what this compound is? Can you tell me? Try to think about it. Okay. So 4. What it can do is either it can lose electrons 4 or it can gain electron 4 just in order to combine. Okay. And the third option is it can actually share the electrons as well, just as in the form of carbon. No, it is not carbon over here, but it's kind of similar to that. Okay. And yes, atomic number is 14. You must have guessed it by now. It's nitrogen. Okay, just wait. Yeah. After sodium, magnesium, aluminium. Yeah, right. So this is not a nitrogen, but an atom, an element which is below that. It's phosphorus. Fine. Right. Now, so the valency what they are asking will be 4. The valency, the combining capacity is 4 only. Okay. So we have got this done. Now, what is the relationship between the valency of an element and the number of valence electrons in its atoms? Explain with the examples. So you know what, this is going to be important one. Mark this as important. Relationship between the valency. You know, it's not always that valency and valence electrons are same. Let's take up an example. First in the case of metals. Another one is in the case of non-metals. Fine. Now in the case of metals, let's take up an example of sodium 281. So the valency is equal to number of valence electrons. Yes, you can see here valency is 1 because it will lose 1 electron, and that is what the number of valence electrons is. But in the case of non-metals, this is not the criteria. See here, if I take an example of a chlorine 287. That means the number of valence electrons are 7, whereas valency is the combining capacity. So it is going to take 1 electron just in order to complete the octet, and that is what the valency is just 1. So here these are unequal. Okay? Yeah, but in the case of non-metals there is an exception. That hydrogen is also a non-metal, but its valency is equal to number of valence electrons. You need to remember this. Cool? So yeah, that completes my question number 7 as well. Okay? I hope everybody has got it, and this was an interesting question. You must have got another information right here between the valency as well as the valence electrons. Fine? Okay. Now the next question, question number 8. Describe Thomson's model of an atom. Which subatomic particle was not present? So it was a plum pudding model. Yes? Plum pudding, just as a cake. Here it is, and it was positively charged, having some negatively charged subatomic particles in between. Total making the atom neutral. But it was lacking one very important subatomic particle, that is neutron. Yes? Okay, so that was the entire model. Okay, we have got this. The mass number of an element is 18. Let's say X, mass number is 18. It contains 7 electrons, it contains 7. What is the number of protons in it and neutrons? What is the atomic number of the element? So, atomic number is 7, that is the number of electrons. Fine? Okay, this part done, last one. Now they are asking about the protons. So, since 7 are the electrons, so protons will also be 7. That means protons are 7. The remaining ones in the nucleus will be neutrons. So, 18 minus 7 equals 11 are the neutrons. Got it? Okay. So, yeah, that is my question number 8. I hope everybody has performed this right. Now moving on to the question number 9. What do we have? 5-mark question. Again an interesting one, we'll quickly do it. An atom of an element E contains 3 protons, 3 electrons and 4 neutrons. See here. Element X contains 3 protons, 3 neutrons and okay, 3 protons and 3 electrons, right? And 4 neutrons are there. Fine, we have developed this model over here. We can now very easily answer the question. What is it atomic number? Atomic number is 3. What is the mass number? Total 7. Write the electronic configuration of the element as per total number of electrons. It will be 2, 1, right? So it is going to be 2, 1. State whether the element E is a non-metal or a metal. How can it complete its valency? Will it accept 7 electrons or just lose 1 electron? Losing 1 electron, that means a metal can do that. So it is going to be a metal. What type of ion, cation or anion, will be formed by an atom of the element E, and why? Since this is a metal, it will readily lose 1 electron to form a cation, okay, and will complete its duplet. Cool. Write the symbol of the ion formed by an atom of element E. So what is the symbol of the ion formed? Yeah, I just need to write the okay, element E is there, na? So E, write the symbol of ion formed, +1. Fine, this is the symbol. What could be the element? X. Okay, so basically not X, but here they are asking about E only. So what we have assumed X right here. Fine. So basically this E element will be lithium, Li, having 3 electrons and having an electronic configuration 2, 1. Okay, got it? Fine. So that was question number 9, a 5-mark question, and it was pretty easy. You can very easily and quickly perform this question and will get full marks. Fine. Okay. Now the last question. The atomic species A and B have different number of protons but the same number of nucleons. First of all, what is this term nucleon right here? You know what nucleons is? Nucleons is neutron plus proton is nucleon, okay? Altogether the nucleus. And another name for nucleon, protium. So, not protium but positron. Another name is positron. Fine. It can also be called as positron, having protons and neutrons in it. Okay. Now you have come across this new term and you have learned about it. The atomic species A and B have different number of protons but same number of nucleons. Okay. So what they say is, this is X and this is Y. Fine. And okay, not X and Y, they have already given the variables A and B. So they say that they have got different number of protons, okay, X, Y. Let's say neutrons would be N and let's say E, fine. So X plus N equals Y plus E they are saying, but these two are different, fine, okay. On the other hand, the atomic species X and Y, they have same number of protons but different number of nucleons, okay. So they have got same number of protons, that means X plus N and X plus E, yeah, and different number of nucleons. X plus N is not equal to X plus E, they are saying, but these are equal. That means electrons will also be equal. Fine, okay. Which pair is an example of isobar? So actually what they are saying is, which pair is an isobar? So you need to have a great explanation for this, why they are asking about what all conditions they have given. So see here, isobars, they are actually those which are having same mass number but different atomic number. Okay, and for an example, I give you an example of argon and calcium right here. Okay, So both of them have 40 as the mass number. Argon whereas has 18 and this has got 20 as the atomic number. So these are called isobars. So out of the two, which will satisfy the condition? See here, in this particular condition only we have got that both of them are equal. That means the mass numbers are equal. It doesn't matter because here the number of electrons will be x and number of electrons will be y in this case. So it doesn't matter how many electrons are there. Just the mass number need to be same. Fine. So what I have explained right here is somewhat related to isotopes. So these are actually isotopes right here which I have done. Got it? So accordingly you have to explain. Okay. Next part. Which of the following pairs are isobars? Again a similar kind but an applicative part of it. So the isobar having the same mass number, and this is the example right here. These are isotopes. Cool? And these are isobars. So you need to give reasons for that as well. Fine. And yeah, that completes my entire questionnaire round. I hope everybody has understood it. And what you need to do is somewhat questions related to these concepts only. You have to revise it once again because yeah, this chapter is quite important. Many questions arise from this chapter. Okay. So I am relying on you. Have a nice day.